Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome. Right now, I feel like I'm recording back to back because there's so much coming through. This is, I guess, this is gonna be a short message. Actually, there's not much daylight left, so at some point I will fade into darkness, probably. This is a little bit of a weird message. I don't know. It's a comment on another video that I just that I recorded earlier, and I was editing it. And in this process afterwards, I suddenly, there was this light bulb going up in my head, and I realized something. And I'm trying to give you like a short catch up what all of this is about. So yesterday I recorded a message about feminine rage, and it came through, like the energy came through very, very strongly. And there was this anger in there about not being seen, and about the topic of labor came through very, very strongly, about all the labor that women have been doing and are still doing up until this day, and feeling not seen for what they do. And there's, like I said, this huge rage that came through. And I talked in this video about a painting by the French painter Edgar Degas, of a woman ironing. And in this first reading, a second painting came up by the also French painter Edouard Manet. Manet, I'm always pronouncing him wrong, Manet. And the moment I uploaded that first video, I was hit with another energy, and I could tell that it was a masculine collective coming through, and it was a direct answer to that first video. And it was, for me, it was kind of surprising the way the message turned out, because they were bringing up that painting again, that second painting from Manet. And I was talking about the painting, and I was completely forgot the word. Reflecting on the position, or the the meaning or the function of the observer in both paintings. And there was still this topic of women being under the gaze of society, certain standards that are put on them, expectations put on them. Again, being either overlooked or shamed for the kind of labor they were doing, because in the second painting by Manet, the woman that was depicted was actually a prostitute, and the whole thing was a huge scandal. So I reflected on all of that, and now after having edited the video, I went back to actually the Wikipedia page to look the painting up, because to be honest, I haven't looked at it in probably 15 years or so. And I was really shocked. I was shocked. And in the moment I saw the picture, I remembered, but I had completely forgotten about it. In that painting, there's not only the woman, she's called Olympia. There's not only like the depiction of that prostitute shown, but there's also a black maid standing next to her. I completely forgot about that. And so speaking of people being overlooked, speaking about labor that's not seen as valuable enough to be recognized. And yeah, I have to be honest, I completely forgot about that. And she's not hidden in the painting. She's quite prominent. I looked at the painting and was like, oh shit. And it's fascinating, right? Because I was, up until this moment, like in the first video, I was full on like feminine rage. And I always try to be as balanced as possible, especially when I'm recording videos. At the same time, I'm also trying to hold space for all the emotions and the two different sides, and all the, like everything that comes with that. And I still think that it's important to, for example, make space for that rage on the feminine side, and to being able to have the space to talk about those things, to that it's important to acknowledge it, to acknowledge the pain and to work through it. But it's so interesting because every time when I slide a little bit too much in like one side, I'm immediately shown the opposite, and it's always gently pushed, but I'm always shown the other side, the mirror. And so in the first message, full on rage, still trying to be fair, but gave that whole thing space. In the second message, there was already the topic coming through of that the observer in the Olympia, like in the second painting, Manet, he actually is not your typical distant observer, but he actually gave her the space to be seen, and she is depicted as someone who's like looking straight at you, and with a very provocative, like it was felt as provocative, like she was very self-confident. She didn't hide for her profession, which was clear to the contemporary observer or viewer of that art, and it caused a huge scandal. So so there's like, like this evolvement happening to wait, it's not, and this also came through a line from a song, Not All Men, which goes, the chorus goes like, we all know that it's not all men, but it's some of them. And so there was already like this shift in perspective, like, okay, it's not all men, it's not like me against you, but like there are allies. Maybe they're not that obvious, maybe we don't always see them at the first glance, but they are there. And now me being humbled like that, because I still kind of identified with the woman in that picture and being judged by society, still being looked at, still identifying with the victim aspect of it. And yeah, like I said, then looking at the painting and realizing, damn it, you overlooked another person in there too. You overlooked the black woman, the black maid. So of course we could go in like all the political stuff in there, and I don't really want to go there. I haven't posted that video yet. I wrote out a comment that I'm probably going to post under the video to address that thing, because I feel like it needs to be addressed. It's important. But yeah, while I was typing it out, and I was actually, let me just read you like one sentence I wrote there. Where is it? Yeah, it's about being open to learning new lessons, to hold compassion for each other, and to remember that in the end we are all human beings giving the best we can to get through this experience called life. So for me, it's always about, okay, remembering that we are not here on this kind of journey, on this like spiritual journey to retrieve in one polar opposite and make the other separate from us, and to go into this offender victim game. It's not you versus me, or man versus woman, or black versus white, or anything like that, but it's in the end it's really like teaching us over and over and over again that we are here to overcome those differences, to stop viewing the world in black and white, good and bad, and that there is like always this those opposing forces that are against each other. And this is not to say that there are no differences or that there are no polar opposites, because there are, but at the same time to see them as equally valid, to see them as equal. And when I just wrote that about the like, to hold compassion for each other, and to remember that we actually all want the same, I realized that in the background there was a song playing I didn't know. It was on my Spotify radio, just randomly playing, and I want to read the lyrics out to you. But division builds a wall instead of something new. But everyone's pain is what's left at the end of the day. And nothing I can say will change what has happened anyway. So the only thing that's left is to be compassionate. 'Cause what we all want in the end is for this thing to have an end. Is the killing to have an end? Is the starving to have an end? Is this thing to have an end? And now I forgot the title because I don't know the song. I'm going to put it in the description. So yeah, I guess I just felt like I need to address this. I need to, for one, me as a reader and as a channel, like there are actually several things in here. For one, I want to say, like, I'm fallible. I'm a human. I can overlook things. And to be honest, looking back at the process, I can see that Spirit deliberately planted, like, there's a breadcrumb trail in there. And it was there to teach me a lesson. And to be honest, it worked. I hope so. I mean, probably I'll forget again at some point. But like, it taught me to be humble, to always remember when I go back into like one polar side, or like in the archetypal expression of the victim, for example, I know that the offender is there too. It always is, because that's just how it is. That's the universal truth. That's spiritual truth. If there is an offender outside of you, if there's a perpetrator outside of you, you have the same archetype inside of you as well. It's just hidden. You cannot see it. So to me, like those moments like this, me going, and there's a reason why they kind of, it was a surprise for me that this painting came up in the reading again, and I didn't look it up. I could have pulled it up and looked at the painting, but I was like, no, I remember it from my memory. I can just talk about it. And that was on purpose. If I should have looked at the painting, they would have guided me there, but they didn't. And that was for a reason, because the lesson was even greater afterwards, because now I'm here and I have to decide, do I make like this whole journey public? Do I show myself as this fallible human? Do I risk being criticized for what I did, what I said, what I overlooked? Do I make myself vulnerable by sharing that? Or I could still not post all of that and just record another message. But that's not the point, right? That's not really honest. That's not, at least that's not what I want to be about, because and I feel like that I'm a little bit, I mean, I know that I'm a little bit of a rebel. That's not really news to me, but I didn't expect this to go this way, but it seems like I'm here to redefine, like at least for myself, redefine what it means to be a reader, what it means to be a channel, what it means to be in a high priestess energy, to channel for a certain collective, and not to be put on a pedestal. And that is so important to me. I don't want to be put on a pedestal. I don't want to be, and I mean, it happens, of course, like you are being projected on. That it always happens, especially when you're a public person like that, and like you put yourself out there, people will project onto you. But at the same time, I feel like I want to be as transparent as possible, of course, with still having my boundaries and still like staying safe for me, because it's still a public space, and we all know it's sometimes war out there. But I'm really trying to be like, one of my mantras is always be your own guru. And I feel like we need people who are our teachers and leaders and all of those things. And I mean, like being a reader, being a channel, like it means a lot of responsibility, because I know people come to my channel and they watch my readings because they are looking for advice, and they are carrying a lot of pain inside of them, and heartache and trauma and all of those things, and I want to take that seriously. But to me, it also means not trying to be something that I'm not, and also showing you that being fallible, being vulnerable, not always being this shiny, what does it even mean to be high vibrational? I mean, I know some energies that are considered as dark, and they are so high vibrational, like so you can't even imagine. So those are all just like, those terms. But what I want to say is, yeah, I don't want to be put on a pedestal. And I feel like it's kind of my thing that I'm sharing my processes, that I'm demystifying a very mystical process. Like, of course, I mean, I'm a channel, so that's pretty mystic shit, right? But at the same time, I'm kind of sharing my processes. I'm not making like a huge secret out of it. And I feel like you learn a lot from somebody else's mistakes, right? Quote unquote mistakes. From somebody else's journey. You can learn from somebody else's journey. And I guess that is what I maybe want to achieve with those kinds of videos. And I feel like I'm being called more and more and more into that by Spirit. And I can tell you, it's not comfortable. Not at all. And it's like, there's not really a format for that. And I'm just wondering if you stumbled on this video and you haven't seen me at all. Like, you're maybe just thinking like, who's that? What is she even talking about? Like reading? Paintings? What? Yeah. I don't know. It's I just feel like it's important that we show a little less of like the whitewashed, polished stuff and just become more real, become more true. That is what I'm aiming at. And that means failing. That means making quote unquote mistakes, sharing the process. And hopefully it inspires someone to do the same and not to feel like having to be perfect or having to hide, or not to, that's a big one. Maybe to go outside and start sharing stuff of your own. Because maybe up until now you felt like that you're not ready, or that it's not perfect enough. You need to be something before you can do it. And I would love to believe that this something like that inspires people to share what they have to share before they feel ready, because we never really feel ready, do we? All right, my loves, that's that. Thanks for holding space. Thanks for being here as always. Also, thanks for all the new subscribers and the lovely comments I got. I can already tell you're awesome. I mean, I knew it all along. I already felt your energy beforehand, but now that you're starting to like flock in, it's becoming like more and more visible, and I'm so excited to where this is all going. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And I would love to see you in the next video. I'm curious what's going to come out then. I have no idea. And until then, take care. Bye.